Thank you, Jim and Chang, and everybody at Alianta for putting this together and for having been such tremendous partners of what we at the Embassy of Romania have been doing over this, past 10 years. We celebrated 10 years last night here in Washington, but most particularly, as our topic today is the visa waiver, the way we came together in a very collaborative and smart and effective way to bring this almost over the line, right? So we're still in the final stages, but I want to say it's really a privilege to join this stage with Radu, and I'd like to recognize him and his team for the amazing effort and the incredibly creative ideas. We were just talking about this. Let's qualify Romania for the visa waiver. That was an absolutely critical, I would say, indispensable tool in our overall campaign to make people, first of all, aware of what the visa waiver program is, how this will create benefits for individuals willing to travel to the United States, and also to recognize how important this has been and will be for the overall relationship and partnership between our two countries, Romania and the United States. By getting into this program, which will happen very soon, as far as we know. You looked at the numbers, at the refusal rate. That was certainly the most stubborn, obstacle, in achieving this goal. So when this is announced, the main benefits of the way Romanians travel to the United States will be, first and foremost, will be safety. Visa waiver creates an incredibly tight safety environment for all travelers on all airlines between the destinations that are outside of the United States and coming into the US. Safety and then ease and comfort. Obviously, nobody will have to go and request a visa and sit in lines and getting through the interviews and travel from Cluj or Pitești or Alexandria to Bucharest, where the embassy is. So everyone will be able to do this, to access the travel authorization from their homes, from their computers, and thank you. And it'll be just as everybody else in the European Union is doing. So by this, Romania fully joins the group of EU countries, our NATO partners, and other privileged, partners and friends of the United States that join this this select group, as the ambassador referred to last night. There have been many players in this game. Of course, the core of this has been obviously government, our government-to-government engagement, right? The foreign ministry and the U.S. State Department and other agencies in the U.S., in Romania and the United States. But also there have been so many other enablers and supporters of this, this successful initiative. I say it really dearly. Radu and his team have been, among the most prominent contributors in Romania. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about
Chris
the
is being
campaign,
over generous, but
and just see how it all unfolded and how did you see this?
Yeah, I
so
think
effective?
I think it's always good. I think it starts with a story, because I mean, this is the third panel. Jim said this is the third time we've been up here. If we hadn't got it with 3 strikes or out, I'm not sure if that would have applied to or not. But the truth that there's a story behind it. And everyone who knows me knows that I love a challenge. And when I was contacted about the visa waiver, they were saying, everyone's saying it can't be done. We had discussions with a lot of people in the government who were saying, not going to happen. It's not going to be. I remember some late night wine with some of the people, and they said, it's an uphill battle. And it was an uphill battle. Truth is, Romania was about 10% refusal rate, had to get under 3 in the 12-month period. The term was very, very strict, right through September 30th of 2024. So it was quite a challenge. And, a lot of Romanians, they said the attitudes when applying for a visa, many Romanians had visas. The ones that were really traveling already had 10 years visas. They said, we just got a visa last year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Why should I bother and get another visa? And a lot of other Romanians, they thought, well, why should we get a visa? We shouldn't need to get a visa. We're a member of NATO, a member of the EU, and there was a confusion whether as a member of the EU member state and a member of NATO, and the fact that, Romania and the United States have a very strong strategic partnership that's extremely well known. Why should they be obliged to apply for visas? There was a lack of understanding to their neighboring countries as well in Eastern Europe, who most are already on the visa waiver program. I think Croatia was the last one to join a couple of years back. So there's a little misunderstanding about the requirements and the need to become a visa waiver, have visa waiver status. So there were some cultural issues. When we looked at this problem, we said, how can we convince Romanians to apply for a visa? As I mentioned, a lot of them had the visas already. People in my own office, people, different companies that we work with, the people I know said, listen, Radu, I'd love to help out, but I got a visa. Why do I want to spend another $150 on a visa? $150 for a lot of Romanians is a lot of money. They said, why should we do that? They had to be, I mentioned the fact that they again, hey, we're members of NATO and EU. Why can't the U.S. just pass a law, legislation that just waives this whole requirement issue below the 3%, automatically grant Romania the visa waiver? And people actually believe this. This is the feedback. Like any approach to the type of communication we want to develop, we got to understand what resonates for the people we're addressing. And it took a lot of conversations. And I say that it sounds like there was a lot of work, but I didn't have to, because we just had to contact the people that we already knew. So in many ways, we met, we had conversations. I don't want to say we had focus groups, but we had a lot of different discussions about what we needed to do and how we were going to do it. And there was a lot of pushback. And I remember we had a couple of meetings at the government, and we were at a table, in the government building. There's that huge table, if you remind you, that has a place for about 80 people, and it was full. And at the beginning of the conversation was everyone would go around the room. There was, experts from this association, expert from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Research, and all these things. And everyone gave their 2 cents about what we needed to do to tackle this issue. And this is 3 hours into the conversation. I think they only got by response number 12. And I said, this can't go on like this. If we keep going on like this, we're never getting anything done. So we were successful in convincing Valentin Vatajiu, say, let's tone down the number, cut down the number of participants in these discussions, and let's get to work. And Valentin, Cristian's been very generous in citing our contribution, but Valentin has been someone who's really, he took this issue, he embraced this issue, and he led this issue all the way through. And if anyone deserves the credit, I think he, with the support of everyone else, including Cristian, everyone here at the embassy, deserves a great amount of credit for getting this over the line. So there was other issues that we were going against. People were annoyed. They were annoyed that when they apply for a visa, especially during the winter and during the hot summer months, they had to wait in line outside. Literally, people complained, say, they found it distasteful that they would, it's like -4 and they had to wait, 1 or 2 hours, early morning hours to get into the embassy. The other thing was that even when they wanted to get a visa, the interview was scheduled, 3 or 4 months down the line. And culturally speaking, the Romanians are always a little late in applying for their the meeting deadline. So they needed a visa in 1 week, and they were furious the fact they couldn't get a visa in just a couple of days. So there's a lot of little things that annoyed them and irritated them. We had to find ways to overcome this. And so what we did, we had to find something that would unite and create a sort of a cause. And that's exactly what we did. We said, listen, this isn't an effort. This is not a government program. This isn't a social one. This is a program for Romania as a whole, as a nation, and Romania as a people. And that started to resonate. And a little bit of feedback we had, we started to say, yeah, maybe if it's good for all the Romanians, it's good for my family. We talked about the different issues that your mothers will be able to come visit, your kids will be able to come visit you easily in the United States, et cetera. And that started to resonate. But, there was still a big problem because the refusal rate generally was not the refusal rate in Romania. It was a refusal rate for countries in the EU with Romanians who were applying for U.S. visas in Spain, in Italy, UK, and France. And there, the refusal rate was much, much higher. For technical reasons, not necessarily because they weren't what we called bona fide candidates, but for technical reasons because they didn't fill out their application correctly, or they had a residence, they were using a residence in Romania as opposed to where they were actually living. So it created a lot of confusion. And there was no alignment, I think, on the State Department. I don't make any comments on behalf of the State Department. There wasn't an alignment about, let's make a special case here, or let's make a special provision for these applicants, for Romanian applicants to the United States. So there was none of that. The other problem we had, for every refusal rate, in other words, every applicant that was refused, it would negate 3 successful, what we call bona fide candidates in the program. So every one person that got refused, for every 3, it would just knock it out. So that was contributing sort of the numbers, because at the end of the day, it was a numbers game. And there were incidents where there's a couple of incidents, I don't know, Chrissy knows the story, of sort of in a given day, a surge of applicants in other member states, not in Romania, in other states, of what we call not bona fide candidates, that all of a sudden would just show up and apply for visa, knowing full well they'd probably be refused, and hence reduce the success rate in terms of the goals that we set out to do. So it was very difficult. But in the end, we want to ignite the national pride. And for all of you who know Romania well, the national pride is something that resonates. It's something very powerful, and it's something that gets people motivated. And we felt that right from the beginning. And what I want to do, I want to show Luca, rather than give you a description of the campaign, I think the images will say a lot more than what I can talk about. Luca's just going to show the clip that we use. The approach is very simple. It was using social media influencers. And as you all know, last summer was the football tournament. And we wanted to capture this pride that the Romanians had in their own football team and try to capture that spirit and try to carry that along. The pride in the National Football Club, we want to carry along in sort of the visa waiver program. So she's going to play the clip. And I think it will be a good way of explaining exactly what we were trying to capture. The impact was much stronger than in Romania than it was perhaps in this audience, but nonetheless, it was something that got the attention. It was supplemented by what I mentioned to be a lot of social media influencers, and that combination actually worked very well. So we got on the map, and once we got on the map, we continued with a second wave, as also to strengthen the momentum that we created initially a few months earlier. So it was a two-wave campaign, one to introduce the concept, and the second using the football example to sort of capture that sort of national pride spirit that we thought was the right approach. And it looks like it was. There's no final number, as Christy mentioned before, but the indications seem pretty good. I think everyone knows the number that The indication is that Romania is below the 3%, maybe probably a little better, and we're waiting for sort of an official announcement in the next few weeks, I think in the new year. So Alianta was the umbrella group that promoted this campaign with the financial support of Banca Transilvania, okay? They're the ones who made it happen because unfortunately, like everything, it costs money. And we were to sort of find the right people who shared, our view on how to approach this particular challenge. And I think Banca Transilvania is the largest, certainly, I think it's the largest, but not certainly the largest Romanian bank. And Horia Ciocila, who's the head of Banca Transilvania, he embraced and he understood the idea very, very well right from the beginning. And it wasn't much of a push to get him to contribute and support the efforts because he saw the advantages. He certainly understood the national pride aspect, and he was really grateful. And I sent him an update not too long ago, and he said, listen, I want to thank you and Alianta for your support because what we did, we provided financial support, maybe, yes, but you guys actually did all the heavy lifting. For that, they were very, very, very appreciative. So I think it was good. So that was basically the ensemble of the whole effort. Again, I think a lot of the credit goes to Valentin, goes to Christy, the ambassador here as well. They were very supportive, and there was a lot of other people involved in the work in Romania that made this happen. So, despite the naysayers at the very beginning who were saying, "Rowdy, this is just not going to happen," I was delighted when I heard the final numbers. I called those particular people personally to say, you see, just when you say no, it actually can be a yes. So we're very, very grateful, very happy. I think it's a milestone for Romania. It's really historic for Romania. And we're just waiting for the official news that will come in the new year.
Yeah, no, it really is historic. It really is a milestone. And I think the captured phrase, let's qualify Romania. That also, right? Let's qualify. Together we qualify Romania. That's yeah. So, I mean, it was really brilliant. And I think it speaks to also the fact that this was absolutely from A to Z a phenomenal teamwork.
Yeah.
How do you do this? Right? You have various layers of engagement, but essentially it's been a teamwork. And if it's time to give credits, I think Valentin obviously has been the official lead and coordinator of this. But I think here, at least in the United States, if there's anybody that has pushed for this in the most spectacular way from day one of his assignment in his position, there's been none like Ambassador Muraru.
Yeah.
He's been everywhere in this town and beyond. As you very well know, he traveled almost throughout all the country. In almost every single conversation that he had with leaders who had a connection with this issue, visa waivers was top of his script. So because in the background, while everybody was watching these clips, I have to say that there's been quite a bit of work with the agencies to put things together to actually qualify Romania into this program, which means really really a lot of not only technical but also legislative, regulatory, other kind of official processes that had to be developed and employed to actually make this happen, and to demonstrate to our American friends and partners that Romania, with all its capabilities in border security, law enforcement, diplomatic engagement, travel, coordination, all that, it really meets in a very accurate way the visa waiver requirements of the United States. There was no way around it. That was the only way. So, so for the past quite a few years, we, together with the teams in Romania, the teams in the Foreign Ministry, Ministry of Interior, Justice, other agencies, have been day in and day out at work, convincing and proving to our American partners that this is really a framework that's absolutely fully compatible with the visa waiver program as it's been designed and enacted in this country. We're seeing the results. I guess we've been quite effective in this. All, again, together, all the agencies, everyone in Romania and here in America. And the numbers are good. It's actually, the numbers are official. It's 261. So that's the refusal rate. And by the time that everything else will be certified as being in full compliance with the program, there will be an announcement. So, stay tuned. And we can't wait to do one more round to actually celebrate that. Right?
Next year we'll celebrate it.
Yeah. But there's questions?
Yeah, who has a question?
Yeah.
I want to get a microphone, folks who have questions. Oops.
Yes.
I don't want to trip over the cords along the way. Alan, you had a question? No.
Yeah.
Yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
So for quite some years, the word has gone out that the 3% figure was the obstacle.
Yeah.
Always was.
That's been solved. Why is there still some other unnamed obstacle? Why is
There's not any other obstacle. It's just a normal due course of process and of integrating all these pieces, including the final refusal rate, which came positive, into whatever the U.S. agencies, DHS and State Department have to do internally to kind of officially process and recognize that. So there's no other obstacle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This way. There we go. Your seatmate.
I have two questions. One, what was the percentage below 3%? And how will we know when the visa waiver goes into effect? Will it be a press release from Alianta or
Definitely the press release from Alianta. Probably the security.
I'm just curious.
Right. I get, yeah.
That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess the U.S. government through DHS and State Department will, at the right time, will make an official announcement that everybody will know. And then, of course, Alianta will jump right in on that and push it into this community.
And the percentage?
The percent, so we are now at 2.61
Oh, that's
refusal rate, 2.61.
2.6.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Yes, Daniela.
Thank you. Congratulations. Finally, I tried to help very well-known Romanian artists to come to have carol concerts in U.S. and we didn't succeed. It was too lengthy of a process. So what does this mean? If there is a visa waiver in place, how can they travel to U.S. to come and visit all the Romanian American communities and other artists, for that matter?
So the visa waiver program will only address the group of travelers from Romania to the United States who come here for vacation or business. It replaces the so-called B1, B2 visa, right? Which is tourism, travel, and business. Other intents, like working, performing, medical treatment, studying, or else, will continue to be subject to those particular types of visa that someone would be required to have when entering this country. If you come on a visa waiver permit, you can not work, you cannot do other things that are outside of the scope of tourism, travel, and business. Business meaning business meetings, business conferences, events, things like that.
So all the artists that were at the film festival just in November, they need a different visa, not what they had.
If they come as just to spend time in the United States and to participate in a festival without being paid for that, or without making any sort of professional commitment to that particular situation, then visa waiver will cover. But if they come on a contract or on a performance schedule or something that involves, a fee,
Remuneration, yes.
then they would submit to a different visa category, and that will remain in place.
Understand. And the other question?
Yeah.
To some degree, this is preaching to the choir. Theodor Stan from Immigration Research Forum on the board, on the same panel last year. My congratulations to everyone involved, to Alianta for mobilizing in this, for the embassy working closely. I remember over the year we did not expect to have negative feedback from our diaspora partners, some of them not understanding what this means. And in fact, it means even more screening and sharing of information between governments and a more secure way to come for short term, and explaining to them that it's not about unwanted travel to the United States. It's actually the ability to call to have your family come over for baptisms, weddings, funerals, extended family that might otherwise not travel on a short-term notice. But my question is actually to Jim and Alianta. Are we going to have an award for Ambassador Kathleen Kovalek for her embassy's campaign of public awareness on this and all her efforts, because it was incredible to see that level of mobilization from the U.S. Embassy. And she's definitely, I think, played an immense role in making sure that we are where we are today.
I'll just say we talked with the board about it, but I think it's a very interesting point of view. Once we have visa waiver, recognizing and celebrating those who made it possible, I think would be a very appropriate role for Alianta to play. I wanted to follow up on Daniela's question, though, because I should know this, because I used to know this stuff, but I don't know it anymore. So the kind of situation Daniela's talking about is someone comes over here short-term to perform.
Mm-hmm.
What is the visa status of somebody like that now, and what will be the visa status after visa waiver?
So nothing changes.
What is it now, then?
Yeah, now it is that there's a special performance visas or artists and professionals category visas. It's kind of an established process. The U.S. Embassy knows exactly how to how to do, and people know generally. Artists and people in this, they kind of know, what kind of documents and what kind of requirements are.
Do they have to sing at the visa window?
I've never been to one of those interviews. I don't know. Yeah. You have?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Other questions? I got a couple more. If other folks have questions, just put up your hand.
Yeah.
Come back to the other criteria. You made general reference to them, but I know them, again, in general. They mostly relate to security of the border. So what has Romania done separate from getting the refusal rate down to qualify for visa waiver?
It's done a number of things. It's upgraded its information sharing infrastructure in a way that can communicate with the U.S. Systems, which means that any report or information about potential suspected travelers on terrorist charges or organized crime or serious crimes is shared, is exchanged. It has, and there's several agreements, several streams of where this information is transmitted. So there's been a lot of work and upgrades through various agencies. It's upgraded its passport systems to introduce obviously a biometric feature and other features that are recognized by the by the U.S. border security system. It's made a number of changes in the local residency requirements, local national citizenship requirements, to the point where there's absolute no question about the integrity of those processes and of those systems in Romania. Anybody who's claiming citizenship, anybody who's claiming residence in Romania, and who may in any way be entitled to a Romanian passport, which will then qualify for visa waiver travel, all those systems have to be spotless in terms of any questions about their reliability, their integrity, and the potential for fraud or inappropriate behavior. Again, a lot of work, important work. It took time and a lot of resources. There probably were a number of other areas in this realm of border security, air travel safety, the air marshal program, that airlines have, and a number of other things, but it all converged into, and under Valentin's leadership, obviously as coordinator, it all converged into in a very timely manner with the arrival of this refusal rate to below 3%. So we reached the magic moment where the security piece is at the same time. It comes at the same time with the refusal rate. That's what made Romania qualify to.
Gotcha. So let me push that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So those security pieces, are those all confirmed by the U.S. government at this point, or is that part of what still has to happen?
They have been reviewed, and I think the U.S. government is in kind of the final stages of concluding that assessment.
Gotcha.
And as far as we know, the assessment is really very positive.
Again, I'm not asking for a date, but given that you work with these people all the time on this issue, you're the world's expert in Washington on this question, Christy. So, what's a reasonable time frame for the U.S. government making the official statement, it goes live, and then after that, it going live? Do you have a sense of that?
I would say we're very close. I would give I would put in the range of a couple of months or a few monns.
Okay, that's what I'm
and of course, we'll say more when we'll know more.
Sure.
But I think now at this point, that's the horizon that we're looking at.
We're probably not talking about weeks, and we're probably not talking about years. We're probably talking about months.
Exactly.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Another technical question.
Yeah.
There are lots of Moldovans who are holders of Romanian passports.
Mm-hmm.
So do they all qualify?
Anybody who has a Romanian passport, which means he's a Romanian national, a Romanian citizen, will qualify.
Okay.
Provided that there's a regular passport and a temporary passport. Temporary passports are out of this system. But anybody who has a regular passport, like perhaps all of you Romanians here have,
right,
that has a biometric component, chip, they qualify.
Gotcha.
You will be able to access the ESTA system, put your information, wait for the review, you'll get a response. Hopefully it will say you're authorized to travel to the United States, and you just get your ticket and go to the airport.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Yeah, Daniela?
Could the change of administration reverse any of this work we've done so far?
We don't expect that. We have no reason to expect that, frankly. Everything that we've done is on record to be precisely what has to be done. I mean, there's a statute here in the United States, the visa waiver statute. There's a number of requirements. There's now evidence that Romania is meeting these requirements, including the refusal rate. And it's just, and by the way, there's nothing in the visa waiver program that has ever been controversial or subject to being interpreted differently by different administrations.
It's a numbers game.
Yes, exactly. There's been a continued interest and support of any administration for a strong visa waiver program, because everybody recognizes that the program, what it brings, besides the easiness of travel for the Romanians or the Germans or others, it brings an enormous amount of safety and security to airline travel between any destination that's in the visa waiver program and the United States. So that's been a constant interest of all U.S. agencies, no matter of what administration. So we're really confident that this has nothing to do with any change of the teams. So we go forward with full speed and confidence. Yes,
Sheila.
Two unrelated questions, one to Chris and one to Radu. Picking up on what you just said about the goodwill of everyone involved, is there any expectation, or could there be an expectation that visa waiver for tourist travel business visas would free up and speed up decisions on actual business visas, other kinds of visas?
Yeah.
So that's one question. My question to Radu is, I'm struck with what you said about what a campaign it was, how many pieces were involved in getting Romania to the point where the numbers made sense. And my question is there any risk that Romania could fall out of compliance with that picture? Is it a fragile state?
I'll leave the compliance question to Christy, who knows best. Just to go back, I think I was ungenerous in terms of the pointing out all the people who were involved in this effort. And it's really in a year of elections, this is what I really call a grassroots campaign, where the ambassador was making coast-to-coast visits. Christy was very supportive. Valentine, I've mentioned, a lot of other people as well. And I think, like anything, communication, successful communication is three things in my view. Number one, it's identifying something that people can understand. It's identifying something that people understand and think is good. But most important is identifying something that people understand, think is good, and then they care about. And the last ingredient is the key to everything. And I think that's what we were able to bring together from the government side, from the NGO side, from the embassy side, and everybody involved. They understand about an issue that not just unites people, but it's something that people care about. And people do care about it. They do care about it. So I think that was the sort of the ingredients. And it wasn't just looking at a TV spot on your TV set. It was everything that goes around is the ecosystem that was created by the different efforts involved.
absolutely agree. Let me respond to that and then tie in with what Radu said. So number one, I think, yes, I mean, logically, you would think that now all those consular officers who would, until now, would spend time, interviewing hundreds, perhaps, applicants a day, will now be freed to dedicate and, commit their time to other types of applications, right? And that would make that more effective. That's the logic behind. I don't know how the embassy or the State Department will decide to manage this, but I think that's been the pattern in countries that have gone into the visa waiver, and then we've everybody saw then a kind of a release of those resources and affecting those resources to other tasks. Can we fail? Is there risk of reverse? I don't even think about that. I mean, looking at the amount of work that's been put in this, and which is really very precise, and so has been so rigorous, and so now embraced by, particularly by the kind of Romanian establishment. Now now we're entering a new phase of our partnership with the United States, one which is really more, really closer, really more, more meaningful in many ways. And our agencies are now going to, on a daily basis, talk more amongst themselves and cooperate more. So, so any little thing that can come up can instantly be discussed and corrected, right? Through a normal day-to-day working relationship, which hasn't been existing so far because we weren't there. Now we're joining that system. Now we'll be part of that system, which means we're at the same table every single day. It's a big shift. It's a big change. But before we close, tying it to what Radu said about caring about this and what's the important element, I think Romanians and I hope the Alianța community and everybody else recognizes that this is truly a very tangible, direct, concrete, piece and result of what the U.S. Romania partnership actually means for nationals and citizens and communities of both countries. I mean, we all benefit from the security that's being provided by our partnership with the United States. We all feel the impact of, U.S. investment, academic collaboration and programs and all of that. This is something that literally every member of the Romanian community will feel in a very tangible way. The ability to just go online, get an authorization, and travel to the United States if they so wish. That's just unbelievably remarkable.
Indeed.
Yes.
Other questions? Any hands up over here? I got two more.
Two more. Come on,
Two
Jim.
more. Well,
Man.
I'm thinking like a Romanian. So we got into Schengen, which means you can't
Yes.
it's not just you go to Austria, you can go to Germany, you can go to France. So if you get into America under visa, U.S. under visa waiver, can I go to Canada and Mexico?
No, because Canada and Mexico and the U.S. are not in any sort of Schengen arrangement, kind of like. So you come to the U.S. on a visa waiver, good for you. But if you want to go to Canada, you have to have a Canadian visa waiver, because we have visa waiver with Canada too.
You have visa waiver with
Yes.
Canada.
So
Oh.
it's also a kind of an ESTA type of arrangement. So if you got that, then of course you can go from the U.S. to Canada. But just the U.S. visa or permission doesn't
How
allow
about
you to.
Mexico? I want to go
Same
to
thing.
Acapulco.
Same thing. Well, Mexico is much easier because with Mexico you don't even need to register online. You just go with a Romanian passport and
Gotcha.
you just go. Yeah. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
didn't need a visa.
No.
No.
But it's
Understand.
an electronic registration.
Well, that's the lead into my last question.
Yeah.
There are a lot of practical technicalities related to this.
Yeah.
And this is really for Radu, but also for Christy. What thinking has been done about, once it goes into effect, educating Romanians and Americans about how it's really going to work? An example that Teo gave at the forum meeting yesterday was, we need to remind people it's only a 6-month visa, right?
3.
3 months.
Three,
Well,
90
there I
days.
go. So there I
90
go.
days.
It's only a 90-day visa, so don't overstay. I mean, there are things like that.
Yeah.
Has there been any thought given to the communications campaign for, okay, it's here, here's how to use it, here's how to make it work for you?
We're great at starts, we're not good finishers. So the answer is no, there is not. But that's a good point, Jim, and we can raise that.
Yeah.
We can raise that. And I think that can be addressed pretty easy.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I mean, I think the Romanian government can play a role, the U.S.
Well,
government can play a role,
yeah.
Alianța can play a role.
And of course, and we of course we are discussing this with the U.S. government
Yeah,
and
it's a
other-
good point.
Other groups
It's
to,
a good,
you know,
it's a good,
how do
it's
we
a very
make sure?
good point.
And look, 42 other countries have done this before us.
Right, right.
A few of them even recently.
Yep.
As recent as last year, 2 years ago. There is a recipe for that. How do you educate the traveling population about the conditions of this new status? And how do you really make sure that you don't overstay, you don't abuse it, you don't miss.
Well, I just demonstrated the need for it because I said 6
Yeah.
months. So
It's-
there's a
it's-
need for some
it's-
publication.
90 days.
It's absolutely, it's
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
very important. Yes. Yeah. Radu, let's.
Any other
Let's do this
questions?
next year.
Going once, going twice? Thank you guys very, very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Onward and upward.
All right. Thank you.